The Niners enter a short week with a long list of injuries. Brock Purdy is listed as questionable and has been limited in practice this week with rib and oblique injuries. Josh Johnson would get the start if Purdy is unable to go. Star wideout Deebo Samuel and starting defensive tackle Kevin Givens will both miss multiple weeks with MCL sprains, along with cornerback Samuel Womack, who is in concussion protocol, missing Thursday as well. We now welcome in NFL on CBS analyst Charles Davis to help us break down this NFC West battle. Charles, you just heard all of the injuries to the Niners. It's a short week against a bitter rival that really knows how to play them well. How concerned are you for San Francisco?
You're always concerned, Katie, when you talk about injuries, especially this time of year when you're trying to make your playoff push. But if there's a team that has gotten, for lack of a better word, comfortable with understanding how to navigate around injuries and be successful, it's San Francisco. You know, when you look back throughout the season, the number of key players who have gotten hurt, starters who have gotten hurt, guys who have, there've been a few that have been able to make it back. There's some they're waiting to get back. There's others they won't get back. Yet somehow they keep rolling, you know, and that's the thing about this team. Everyone talks about a next man up mantra. But a lot of times you say it, but behind the scenes, you're like, you know, we're really hurt. You know, I mean, we're really beat up. You just don't hear that out of San Francisco. They find a way. And I think a lot of teams now, the better teams, Katie, they're taking that practice squad roster and treating it like it's a regular roster. They're getting reps to practice with the ones and the twos. They're getting extra time after practice to go through things. They're making sure that they understand their assignments because they realize they could be thrown in at any time. So you better treat them like they're part of the team, not that there's something separate. Then you got to hurry to get them ready. And I think the San Francisco and their staff, they understand that, and they do that quite well. One other thing, you mentioned short week. The good thing is it's a division rival. So you're not throwing a lot of extra stuff in this week. You're going kind of with what you know, and you know each other, right? The devil that you do know is right in front of you. San Francisco should be ready for it.
Yeah, they say the devil that you do know sometimes is better than the devil that you don't know. Well, the Niners had been gaining some serious traction in the Super Bowl futures market before Jimmy G went down for the foreseeable future. Those odds, understandably, took a dip before Brock Purdy went from Mr. Irrelevant to the GOAT Slayer last week against Tom Brady. Charles, based on what you've seen so far, are the Niners still Super Bowl contenders with Purdy?
Well, the easy answer would be no, right, Katie? You don't have Mr. Irrelevant quarterback in your team in a time where the quarterback position in the league and heck, football at large has never been as quarterback-centric as it is right now, meaning you have to play through your quarterback to have success instead of playing around him and hope that you can do it. In the past, NFL teams have done that. When we were a running league, your quarterback did not have to be your top player. Well, we throw it more than we run it, and a lot of times we say, run it to your heart's content, but we're not going to let you score because you can't throw the football. Brock Purdy has come out in a short sample and shown the moment's not too big. He makes good decisions. And here's the other part, Katie. Under Kyle Shanahan, quarterbacks play well when given an opportunity. We talk about a quarterback-friendly offense. There's none better than the San Francisco offense. C.J. Beathard had success when he was a starter there. Nick Mullins had success when he was a starter. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo went to a Super Bowl. And the year they went to the Super Bowl under Garoppolo, he could throw it around. But you remember the playoffs? Remember the name Raheem Mostert, who was, you know, this time was carrying the ball and then running his chest against the goalpost as he scored? Jimmy G threw it less than 10 times in both playoff games before he got to the Super Bowl. So they find other ways to get things done. And by the way, there's some guy named McCaffrey there now, so who you can turn and hand the ball and throw it to as well. So the short answer should be no. I'm going to go the other way. Trent Dilfer got to a Super Bowl, right, and won it. Jeff Hostetler a Super Bowl and won it with the Giants. Brock Purdy could be in the mold of those guys, especially with the way that whole San Francisco team is constructed.
Charles, this is why you're my favorite analyst. Let's go 49ers to the Super Bowl. I have to agree with you on that one, but I am slightly biased on this one. Let's talk about the Seahawks. They surprised a lot of people at the start of the season with their very impressive record. However, Seattle has since dropped 3 of their last 4 games and are now outside the NFC playoff picture. Do you expect them to really turn things around here in the final 4 games?
Well, it's going to be difficult, Katie, and here's why. Because when you take a good look at their schedule down the stretch, obviously Thursday night, here come the 49ers, and we know what kind of battle that's going to be. Then the very next week, they're at Kansas City, and Kansas City is still chasing the #1 seed. They would much rather have Buffalo come to their place than go to Buffalo in late January, early February. Then you've got the New York Jets, who will be fighting, scratching, clawing for a playoff spot. And boy, they've had a heck of a year at 7-4, considering the number of injuries they've had. And then you finish with the Los Angeles Rams, another division game. So when you take a good look at that schedule, I think that it's up there for them to go 2-2. Will that be enough? Or will they need to get at least a 3-1? Which means to me, they have to steal one of either San Francisco or Kansas City in order to get to that 3-1 mark. In this game against San Francisco, get back to your roots, Seattle, and run the darn football. Okay, I feel like Leanne Tui in The Blind Side. Run the dang ball. Because San Francisco's defensive front, Kevin Gibbons out, Eric Armstead not around. Try your best to control the game that way and see if that can take a little bit of pressure off the rest of your offense and get Geno Smith back on track.
Well, speaking of stealing a game, the time has come to make your official pick for Thursday night. Who you got, the Niners or the Seahawks?
Well, first and foremost, please tell me the Seahawks are going to wear their lime green uniforms. I mean, it's a primetime Thursday night game. Let's go ahead and get the highlighters out and wear that uniform first and foremost. I don't know how many people like them. For some reason, I do. So let's go ahead and do that, right? The second part of this is what I talked about. Can they run the ball and have some success? Okay. Can Kenneth Walker keep it going? Can Rashad Penny get on track and get going and help them control this game a little bit? The last part of this, though, this San Francisco team has navigated some key injuries, people coming at them throughout this season. I love the way this team goes about their business. I love their approach. I love their answers to everything. I like San Francisco going on the road and winning in Seattle in a tough environment. Short week, divisional opponent, but they've been there before and gotten it done. And I just love that linebacking core. All right, especially led by Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, and Alshire. Those three, they are really, really good, and they'll be there if the defensive line holds up, and they'll be able to get downhill and attack that running game.
Charles, you picked San Francisco last week against the Bucs, and they did not prove you wrong, so I'm hoping that you're right again this week. Charles Davis, thank you so much always for your time.
Take care, Katie.
The Niners are seeking their first season sweep of Seattle since 2011. SF won the first matchup this season 27-7 in week 2. The 49ers are coming in hot on a 6-game win streak and covering 4 straight. Seattle, on the opposite side, failing to cover their last 4 games, which is the longest active streak in the NFL. Time now to welcome in our betting gurus, big money Mike McClure and the czar of the playbook, Emory Hunt. Fellas, let's get right into it. The Niners are laying 3 in Seattle, over under 43.5. Emory, what's the play?
Well, first, I appreciate you bringing me on the San Francisco 49ers fan block of the show, but I'm going to go over the total. I feel like both teams will be able to find the end zone. I like the fact that Geno Smith in his passing game, they tend to fight their way back into ball games if they're down. So I just like the passing game here. I think he'll get over 1.5 touchdowns. I think he'll get 2. He's on a streak the last 5 games is hitting this number completely. So I think he does it again against San Francisco. I know he didn't do it the first time, but this time I think he gets the job done.
I love you, Emory, but I'm on the opposite side here. I'm going under 43.5. Look, short week here for both teams, divisional opponent, playoff implications on both sides. We already know the situation with Brock Purdy stepping in. Also, he is questionable to play in this game. I think he plays in this game personally, but as always in the NFL, it's especially true in this matchup. They are 1 play away from heading to another quarterback in this game. We've got McCaffrey on the ground. On the other side, Kenneth Walker should be back, ready to go for this game. Look for them to run the football as much as they possibly can. I think the game's going to be competitive. I think it's a low-scoring game. I'm going under 43.5.
Well, you both live another day with me. Nobody picked Seattle on this one. I'm actually going to piggyback off of your pick, Mike. I'm going to take Seattle under their team total of 18. Somehow the 49ers defense just continues to improve. DeMeco Ryans' crew has only allowed 17 points or fewer in 6 straight games. In fact, only 2 opponents have scored more than 19 points all season long. That was the Chiefs and then that Falcons game where a lot of San Francisco players were missing on defense due to injury. Seattle's offense was held out of the end zone in week 2, so don't be surprised if that happens again. Now for some player props. Let's take a look at some popular ones for the 49ers. When I look at this, God, give me George Kittle over 38.5 receiving yards. Seattle has been vulnerable to tight ends this season, giving up the 4th most yards to the position at about 61 per game. People's tight end, well, he's actually better on the road than he is at home. Kittle averaging 56 receiving yards in away games compared to just 36.5 at Levi's. Mike, what is a player prop that you're targeting for SF?
For me, it's got to be Christian McCaffrey. We're going to focus on the receiving yards. We're going over 36.5. Look, I love this spot for him. I love the number, frankly. He has the upside to get there on 1 or 2 receptions. However, I do think we're going to have enough volume in this one. With Brock Purdy banged up, he's already become comfortable dumping the ball to Christian McCaffrey. Look for that early often. Definitely look for that if Purdy is knocked out of this game. Looking at the Seahawks defensively, only the Chiefs and Raiders have allowed more receiving yards to running backs so far this season. With Deebo Samuel out of the picture here this week, Christian McCaffrey is going to handle as many touches as his body possibly can here. Love the over 36.5 receiving yards.
The key word you brought up, Mike, is volume, and you're absolutely right. Because of the injury to Deebo Samuel, because of the banged up Brock Purdy that's going to be starting potentially in this ball game, that means I love the total yards for Christian McCaffrey at 121.5. I like him to go over that because of the volume. He's going to get the opportunities in the run game and also in the pass game. And against the Seahawks defense that tends to have given up big plays to the running back, we just are still seeing Josh Jacobs running all through this defense. I expect McCaffrey to have a big day on both ends of offense in this matchup.
Well, I love those props. Give me Christian McCaffrey on the over all day long. Let's take a look now at some Seattle props. Okay, we got Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. Look, you could take him over his receiving yards, but I actually like him for an anytime touchdown. He's had a receiving touchdown in 6 straight games. Now, I don't obviously expect Seattle to have a lot of scoring, but if they do get in the end zone, it's likely going to be Lockett, and I love the odds at plus 160. Emory, who's getting your hard-earned money from Seattle?
I kind of alluded to it earlier, Katie. I'm going Geno Smith over 1.5 touchdown passes. We talk about the fact that this 49ers defense is really good, but really talking about the front 7 because they can stop the run and get after the quarterback. However, if you're able to pick up pressure, guess what's waiting for you on the back end of that secondary? Opportunity. We saw Tom Brady miss numerous opportunities downfield against this defense. I think Geno Smith, with his ability to attack touchdown to check down, will find Lockett, Goodwin, and also Metcalf deeper down the field. I expect him to get 2 touchdown passes in this ball game.
Boo.
I'm focused on Geno here in this game, but I'm going a different route. We're going under on the yardage. 242.5 is a touch high, in my opinion. He has a super wide range of outcomes because of the way they play and because of the opponents that they've played so far. I've only got 2 comparable games to this one. It was San Francisco the first time, under this number by 50 yards, and then the Denver Broncos with a decent defense early in the season. Big under in that one as well. Having Kenneth Walker back in here, they're going to try to run the football a little bit, but short week, divisional opponent. We know San Francisco is going to run the football and have incredibly high completion percentage throws, keeping that clock winding here. I think the number's too high and is inflated based on some of the weaker opponents that the Seahawks have played. So give me the under 242.5 here for Geno Smith.
Wow, a lot of love for Geno. Thanks, gentlemen. Let's go ahead and recap those picks. Well, the guys are split on the game total. Emory on the over, Mike on the under. I like Seattle under their team total of 18. For prop bets, it's all about the overs for Christian McCaffrey. That's from our experts. But don't count out George Kittle, guys. Okay, don't count out the people's tight end for Seattle. Emory is high on Geno Smith's ability to get into the end zone. If that hits, one of them just better be for Tyler Lockett. Mike, well, he's not so sure. However, he is taking Smith under his passing yards. Want more NFL props? Join Sportsline today using the promo code TROPHY to get your first month for only $1. Get expert picks, game projections, and analysis from Sportsline.com.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.